to join me here on this pretty rainy day, but yeah, we're gonna make the most of it, right? So, God's beauty and the glory of His creation is honestly everywhere, and a lot of people don't realize this. So, this video is meant to be sort of an extension to the short I just uploaded, because there was a little bit more. Oh, there was a little bit more that I had to say there, and you know. So yeah, this whole idea for these two videos I've been making, really came from this comment that I got, and I don't know if I don't really know how to edit that well, so I would like put it up on screen, but I can't. But yeah, it basically said that, I don't know it word for word, but it said that I was very lucky to live surrounded by the creation of God, and that is true, right? I really do enjoy the fact that I live in basically the woods, right? It's very nice, I live on a farm, it's great. I live out on the countryside, there's animals and wildlife and nature everywhere, it's great, right? Of course, there are some downsides, it's pretty far from anything else besides this farm here, and there's some pests, there's raccoons everywhere, there's animals eating our chickens, stuff like that, and there's always downsides, but I am grateful that I live here. But with this person who made this comment, I think the reason this stuck with me is that it reminded me that God's beauty is everywhere, right? There's no such thing as, oh, I live here, so God's glory isn't around me, right? Or I don't live here, so like I live in this place, so I'm lucky and I get all this glory of God, right? That's a misunderstanding. So basically, God created, in the Bible it says God created the heavens and the earth, right? Everything on earth is His. Everything. There's no such thing as the human world and the natural world. A lot of people like to think that, but there really isn't, right? There's no divide. Because God created everything. Even, God created the elements and everything. So even though the city is mostly made of concrete and steel and glass and things that are man-made, but they aren't man-created, right? Humanity didn't go, oh, snap my fingers, magically creates concrete out of nowhere. Man has to take ash and sand and lime and all sorts of elements from the earth that God created and mix them in just the right way to create concrete, to make concrete, right? What is this cat doing? God created everything. Jeez. Just want to speed in the video all the time. Yeah, God created every single thing on this earth, right? Including you, and the person next to you, and the person next to them, and the person next to them, right? Everything on this earth is His. So, to live in the glory of God doesn't mean necessarily to live out in nature. It can mean anything. To live in the glory of God can literally mean being kind to other people, or them being kind to you. When someone is kind to you, you are witnessing the glory of God in real time, in real life, if someone is kind to you. If you are kind to someone else, you are giving them the glory of God. You are giving them compassion, which is what God is, right? You are showing other people that God's love exists by being kind to them, by doing little things for them. Maybe it's just holding the door for somebody, right? Little things like that, that can change someone's life. So if you really want to live in the glory of God, that doesn't mean you move out in nature. For some people it is, right? For some people, for them to see God's glory, going out into nature is 100% necessary. And I truly understand that. For me, I struggled a lot to see God's beauty when I'm surrounded by concrete, when I'm surrounded by steel, when I'm surrounded by glass, right? But that just shows the importance of seeing God's creation as he created, right? Because mankind, we can't create, but we can change, we can manipulate, we can transform. And so, like I said before, we can't create glass, but we can make it out of sand, right? We can change the silicate in sand or whatever glass is made of, and heat in a certain way to make glass, right? So I'm not gonna, tone down the importance of going out into nature. I'm not gonna tone that down. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, no, you can just sit inside all day and play video games because God created everything, including the lights in your video game, right? No. What I'm getting at is that even if you're not surrounded by trees 24/7, you're still living in the glory of God, right? You just have to know where to look. You just have to be able to go out and see, wow, that tree that somebody planted in this sidewalk is so amazing. I'm so grateful for that tree because it throws out it gives a lot of shade, and it's really nice because the sidewalk gets pretty hot in the summer. I don't know what city you might live in, but for me, the closest city, the sidewalk gets super hot because the glass in the buildings is reflecting down on it, so it gets really hot when you're walking on the sidewalk. But those trees are really nice because they give you a lot of shade. So you can be grateful for that. You can say, wow, I'm so glad that God created trees. I'm so glad that God made it so that a literal plant can grow out of the ground and produce wood, produce shade, produce habitat for birds and squirrels and everything, all in one package, all in one living thing. Can create an entire ecosystem. That's how amazing trees are, right? This is ridiculous. Or you can be grateful for, that cat just ran down the road, right? You can say, wow, that's actually really great that God created cats because they eat mice and they can control pest populations, and they're really great. And they give a lot of people happiness as if they have a cat for a pet, It's just little things like that, little acts of gratitude can help you see the glory of God in your life, no matter where you live, right? Of course, there's going to be benefits to going out in nature. Of course, there's benefits to going outside and seeing the world and living out in nature and going in the woods or going wherever you want, going to a park. Of course, there's benefits to that. And those benefits can't be understated. There's so much power in spending time in the natural world. But, like I said before, God's glory is everywhere. So even if you don't have time to go to a park one day, even if you don't really, even if it's really far away to go to any sort of nature, right? You can still see the greatness in your world. You can still see the glory of God. And you can give people the glory of God. You can show them, hey, this world is full of beauty just by being kind to them, just by being kind to other people. And guess what? When you're kind to other people, they tend to be kind to you back, right? So both of you get to see the glory of God. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? That's all I got for today. And God bless you, and stay wild.